Today we're talking about the mini patch we just got for Arc Raiders, the situation with trials and bunkers, and what to expect from Embark over the next couple weeks for the holiday season. First thing worth mentioning is the store has been updated with a brand new skin, the Cavalier Skin. We were actually kind of worried that, some of these might disappear, and it seems like most of them are still here in the store if you wanted to pick them up. But we've got the Cavalier Skin here. By default, this one feels very like Indiana Jones coded, but I think it looks pretty cool. By default, I wouldn't use it, but if you were to mess around with some of the colors, I do think the color schemes are pretty sweet. And actually I was messing around with some of this, all of these on except for the headgear is actually pretty sweet to me. So I'd probably use something like this, and it feels very Indiana Jones here, but this is option for you if you wanted to pick it up. The next thing worth mentioning is they have disabled the bunkers, and this is where we're going to talk a little bit about the exploit situation and the trial situation right now in Arc Raiders. It's actually becoming a major problem over the last couple weeks, considering how slow the updates have been. It took quite a while for them to nerf the Venator. It took quite a while for them to fix some of the exploits with the door, and now it's probably going to take a long time for them to fix the trigger nade situation, as well as some of the glitching that we see, especially on Stella Montis, where you can glitch through walls. There's a zip line that exists outside the map that you can grapple onto and get outside the walls and shoot through it. There's plenty of walls that exist on Blue Gate and Stella Montis that they literally have no collision. You can shoot straight through them and shoot at other players. There's a lot of situations right now that are just being exploited or abused or just kind of frustrating a lot of players. As you can see, they have temporarily disabled the hidden bunker from rotation to prevent unfair exploits. This one is probably very similar to the locked keyed room exploit where people could get inside, but this has plenty of implications for the trial system, which already had a lot of issues going into it as well. And I think right now we're probably in a situation where Embark is preparing to go on holiday and they're working through the process on how to get this updated. And I would say it's definitely fair to criticize them for being slow to respond to these issues. And the game is probably just growing faster than they were prepared for. They were kind of ready for a holiday, but they've got some other things to talk about. Now, the trial system right now, I would say, is inherently flawed. It's a first out version, and they just wanted to kind of get out and use it. I personally have stopped doing trials outside of just rewards, and I know a lot of people have fit into the same role. Not because the trials aren't fun, it's more just that they become incredibly tedious, partially because the grind aspect of the trials is heavily gated based on when you log into the game. So if you end up with a trial rotation, you need to pick up like the gatherables on the ground. You need to wait for lush blooms. If you need to do the one where you open and loot husks, you need to wait for the husk event. If you need to do the bunker, you have to be online when the bunker is available, right? There's so many different ways that you have to time your life in order to actually play in the trials. And this is something that I think a lot of other games, namely games like MMOs or ARPGs that have scheduled events like this, that have already solved this problem. They make it a lot more accessible and a lot easier for people to play and compete. Whereas right now the trial system is very abusable. And in some cases, there are people that literally aren't online because they have other obligations. They literally can't compete in the trial at all. And I think this bunker situation is going to just continually add to that situation over time as we get more problems with that. Now, we're probably going to be heading into a trial rework going into next year, probably January or February, I would hope, as we have the December update coming quite soon. But this, with the bunkers going away and some exploits still existing in the game, there's definitely some frustrations growing between players that would like to see other things in the game. Now, it is December, and we're actually inside of 2 weeks now before this patch comes out, the Cold Snap patch. This will have the snowfall map condition. More map conditions is going to be really great. Flickering Flames event is probably going to be some new turn-in grind event. Hopefully it doesn't overlap too hard with the Expedition, because I know a lot of people are kind of stuck on the Expedition right now. Then we have the Expedition departure window, and new Battle Pass / Raider deck, and new quests along with that as well. So while they're working through these issues, hopefully, I mean, we're nearing the weekend at this point. If they just disabled the bunker today, there's a chance they might fix it tomorrow, but it's probably more likely that it'll just be off for the weekend and then they'll fix it next week when they do this big update on top of that. I'm curious where your head is at. Have you been doing trials this whole time, and what do you feel about the trials? I know like there's a lot I imagine a lot of people are just ignoring them because either they don't know they exist or just don't care that much. I'm sure there's the second largest cohort is probably where I was doing the trials diligently, competing and having fun, but the fact that like I wasn't online when the bunker was available or when Lush Blooms was up or whatever was really starting to grate on me, and I just felt like you just had to be online all the time in order to have the highest score possible in the trials, which it ended up being less fun and more annoying than anything else, and they probably are in that group. Or you're someone that's still doing the trials. I mean, you take the setback with the bunker and just kind of roll with it, and you're just still kind of competing to climb the leaderboards. Let me know where your head is at on that one down below. The next topic is really just around the situation at Embark on how things function, because they have been very proud and loud about the fact that they've been doing weekly updates in the final finals, their first game, you know, ever since the game launched. Like, they've just been regularly updating that game. Whereas it feels like over the last month or two for, you know, over the last month for Arc Raiders, it has been very slow to respond. There's some pretty glaring issues like glitching through walls, collision missing, items disappearing, people, you know, hacking and getting through, like, you know, just exploits that cause lots of frustration for players. And I think that there's also just some balance issues too. A lot of things, like I said, the trigger nade probably needs to be addressed sooner rather than later, considering how easy it is to deploy and how much ridiculous damage it does, how slow they were to nerf the Venator when it was completely out of control for the amount of damage it was doing, and also just looking at the exploits that we have right now. It took them a while to fix the keyed room exploit, and we finally did get that. But now we've got people going in and out of the walls constantly. In fact, I can't really finish a single Stellamontis map currently without having at least one person shoot me through a wall. Now, there's counterplay. You can just, you remember where the areas are, you know where the banisters and certain, you know, areas on the map that don't have collision properly assigned. And also, you know, once you know exactly where the zipline exploit is on Stellamontis, you just kind of avoid that area entirely. But it just feels like it could have been addressed a lot sooner. And also, like, it could just be a pretty easy content update to just kind of roll through that and do it. I think what's happening right now is they are saying, they've actually said publicly that they're running into staffing issues trying to maintain the finals and Arc Raiders, and the fact that Arc Raiders got way bigger than they expected to do. They're quite literally suffering from success at this point. And so they're hiring, they're trying to build up their staff. And at this point, the way I see it is they already have people that have started to go on leave for the holiday, or went on leave for Thanksgiving and then, you know, ended up coming back, and now they're back only for a week or two, that sort of thing. It seems like they're just gonna kind of muscle through and just let the problems exist. Hopefully the December update that we get soon is going to be, you know, gangbusters and super strong. It fixes all of the issues that we're looking at right now, and then we go into Q1 of 2026 a lot stronger from that standpoint. But it does seem like they're struggling to keep up with the demand, and also struggling to keep up with the staffing situation on how quickly they can update, how quickly they can fix problems, and how quickly they can add content to the game. Which, on the same token, it's worth mentioning the frustration that people have around transparency with the expedition, because right now what we have is this in-game setup. So just to recap for anyone who missed the video, we were talking about the expeditions. These on the left side are the things that will be reset. On the right side, you will keep these. They're also down at the bottom. You can see you get bonus skill points and bonus stash slots earned for doing the expedition. They also mentioned that the value of your stash and the amount of coins you have when the expedition completes will give you some kind of bonus based on how much value you had overall. But there's still a lot of people, especially people that are also going on holiday, wondering, you know, what's the value? What are the points? What are we going to get? Can you tell us some actual details, so the people that, you know, have been holding on to resources, not committing to the expedition because they're not sure if they want to do it. They don't want to commit, you know, 1 million to 2 million coin worth of items to the expedition if they're not going to do it. And so they're kind of holding in this holding pattern, waiting for information. And so we're just waiting for them to tell us, like, how many skill points, how many stash slots, what's the value, what exactly are, you know, what are all the workshop levels going away? How is that going to look? So that's what we've got today. We got a brand new skin in the past. We've got a bunker disabled for, you know, exploit issues, and there's other exploit issues going on as well. And a lot of people are just kind of waiting for the patch coming next week. But I'm curious, where is your head on Arc Raiders right now? Are you still playing? Or are you kind of taking a little bit of a break? Or are you just kind of in between, just waiting to see what happens? I'm still playing it. The game is super fun to play for me, but I know there's some people that have already started to burn off, either because the game isn't really for them, like they just don't like the core gameplay loop, even though it was interesting, or they're just getting frustrated with exploits and cheaters and other things like that just get kind of, it builds friction that, you know, may not be at, you know, instead of it being a form of recreation, it's more of a form of frustration for you. And obviously you're well within your right to just completely ignore that until it gets fixed and that sort of thing. So let me know where your head is on Arc Raiders with these updates here down below in the comments. If you found value in today's video, leave a like down below, leave a comment for the algorithm to help this video get seen by more people. And don't forget to check out my other channels for other content and other stuff and other things.